Hello and welcome to another video by myself, Chris from Sorare on the Budget. Today, Sorare have launched their roadmap for summer 2023, so I felt it was only right just to do a quick video. There's only so much you could fit on Twitter without maybe context not being entirely taken into consideration or what have you. So I am going to just do it in a video format. I just figured this would be the easiest way. So I'm going to cover off the roadmap, things like the new format, the long format competitions, the new facilities part of the game that's going to be coming live, the threshold changes, which is probably the most important part for everyone. And yeah, just kind of get a general vibe. I have done some maths, which is on my next slide, but before I go to that, I'm going to go to the actual Surrey article. If you're brand new to the channel, I'd really appreciate a subscription. Just press subscribe on there. It doesn't cost anything to press that button. It just helps grow the channel. The videos will appear further up, on the recommended list. Interact with them. If you want to leave a comment on the video, that'd be great as well, just to try and get a bit of interaction on there. If you're new to Sorare, and this new product launch is giving you the inspiration to get started, you can do so on my link, sorareonthebudget.com, and that'll get you to the Sorare website, and you can sign up from there. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to go straight to the article because there is a fair bit to cover off on it. So looking forward to the 23-24 season. I've been looking forward to the 23-24 season for ages because all my cards are European. And so I've not had a rare team out for quite some time. So the article kind of just discusses a little bit about what their focus is. Obviously looking to increase, the fantasy gameplay, ownership. Obviously, they've been talking about that in terms of the collections and things like that, and then bridging the gap from the digital to the real world with the world. We've seen the Zidane experience video. Who wouldn't have wanted to be part of that? My knees probably wouldn't want to be part of that, but being in goal for Zidane, striking the ball past me, probably would have been up for that. Don't forget, Sorare Sevens is on. Check that out on Twitter. You'll be able to get your tickets to go and see or participate. It is next weekend, I believe. So yeah, get involved with that with the guys. Completely a side note. So here is the main parts of the article. So new gameplay and competition formats. So they're going to be adding 2 new competition gameplay loops to allow more opportunities to compete. So what they're doing is they're introducing a long format leaderboard alongside the Global All-Star. So in essence, I think it runs for 8 weeks. It says, yeah, it runs for 8 weeks. So I think this will be quite interesting to see if there's going to be a longer format. We have had, the private leagues and things like that, but Sorare taking their own, the step to develop their own, I think is quite a nice wee step. It does, having the long format, everybody can have one good week. How many of us could have 8 good weeks to try and build up there? I think that'll be quite interesting. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. If you want to have a read of that, by all means, go and do so. I think it'll be quite interesting. All these things change in September, by the way. So there's a new kickoff mode, which I feel surely to goodness we could have come up with a different name, because they've had to put, please note, kickoff is very different from the current kickoff competition. Why would you name it the same? Why would you do that? I mean, that's a wee bit daft. Come on, guys, you've got to be thinking about that's instant complication by having 2 things with the same frigging name. You could change it to anything you want. You didn't have to have 2 the same name. But nonetheless, there's going to be a new format, which is, from reading it, it seems to be a bit more of a pick up and play. Discusses the cash wallet. I'm not going to spend a great deal of time on this because it's not what everybody's here to listen to. It's looking for something slightly different, and for new experiences. The cash wallet coming very soon. I think a lot of people are looking forward to that because you'd be able to start buying cards a bit more easily than you can just now if you're having to put in funds. So let's look at the first kind of the more important things here. So they're lowering the super rare eligibility in unique competitions from 2 super rares to 1. I think that's only fair. If you spent a lot of time on the uniques, and time and money, more importantly, on the uniques, being able to play in the league and somebody with only 3 is able to win over somebody that's got 5, it's probably about time that was maybe updated. That's maybe just for me. It doesn't affect me because it's not a level that I ever foresee myself getting to unless the lottery win comes in. But that's there. Another important one, there is no changes to the scoring matrix for 23-24 season. I think that's important. When there is changes, it does have a big impact. You know, the last one, it had an impact for the defenders, where suddenly the fullback tax, as it was called, disappeared, and it made them a bit more, you know, appealing to buy the fullbacks instead of centre backs. So it creates a bit of balance, and I think that's quite important. The next one, Saudi, is not going to be covered for the entirety of the 23-24 season, and they will reevaluate the situation before the start of next season. I think that's important. You know, if they were in negotiations, they couldn't talk about it. I've said that on a few tweets. If you're in negotiations with people in a business world at a high level like this would be, you have non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, that are in place for a reason, so that it's not discussed. So if there is something like that, if you do get a period of radio silence for around, you know, a league or what have you, it may well just be that they're in negotiations, so they can't talk about it. But on this one, they're not clearly in negotiations, they're just not covering it, which I think for the health of the game is a good thing. Yeah, there's going to be people who are holding Jota, Benzema, Kante, all these kind of cards that are now sitting with red crosses against it. But at the lower end, guys like, you know, obviously I've not been impacted by it quite so much, but there are cards that are in the Scottish Premier League, for example, that have moved to India. They're not going to cover the Indian Premier League just because a handful of guys have moved to the Indian Premier League. Just because a card's got a higher price value attached to it, it shouldn't have any more importance to Sorare as a company, because the user that owns that card at the end of the day is just as important as the next one. So that, I think that's kind of important that they've come out and addressed that. So that's where we're at with some of those kind of changes. The club facilities. Now, this looked long and complicated. Personally, I was actually flicking through just to get to the card bonuses for the threshold teams part, because I thought that was going to be the more important part for me. So starting in 2023, they're going to be developing a club facilities section. Now, this seems to be an extra layer to the game, which is going to involve your training and a new physio section to the game. So the training effectively is getting your XP bonuses up, which is what we've all been kind of doing from the training competitions to training academy. And now that they're kind of, there's now going to be the training facility after it was the training competition and academy and back to the training facility again. This is where things do get a little bit complicated, just in terms of branding and naming. It just seems a little bit like, if you've been on the platform for any length of time, you've suddenly had something called one thing that changed to another thing that changed to another thing, and it went back to the original. Branding, guys, that's where it comes back to, and I think that's maybe important in terms of just keeping a standard, you know, a standardization across things. So the training center is going to be slightly different for how the XP is going to be accumulated. So you're going to be able to submit a group of player cards into your training facility. The cards in the training teams will then get the XP, or the training facility will get the XP more quickly than the other game modes, which is good, because if you've got cards sitting spared and you can put them in there, brilliant, you're going to get that up. The facility can be upgraded via the club shop, which I think is going to be quite good, because that's what the whole coins thing. I've not really paid enough attention to what I've got. I'm sitting about 10k, which is probably not a lot compared to some. It's maybe a lot compared to others. So I've not bought anything with mine. I was hoping to hold out for any kind of mystery jerseys coming again, but I think I'm going to have to keep these for these other things that are coming up. So it's just the first step, it says here. The items in the club shop might give you, for the under 23s, you might want to get an under 23 training drill, which will boost your under 23s quicker. So it's kind of, it's quite interesting to see these. This bit here, guys, I don't know if my mouse is going to be coming across on the screen. It should be. But this is the part, for me, I'm going to have a wee comment on it in a moment or two. Let's just say it that way. But our initial facilities, we're taking inspiration from the biggest football games in the world, but we're always looking for new opportunities to be innovative. We'll keep an eye on the community feedback for inspiration. Now, they're obviously talking about things like FIFA, because they're wanting to bring a gaming element to Sorare. Now, that's one thing. So basically, this is the equivalent on FIFA of having training cards added to it to boost them up quicker. Simple. But this next one is one I like it for the bonus aspect, and it's going to be another bit for you to manage. Your physio center, you can manage your players' fitness by speeding up fitness recovery of your cards. Fitness is a new card bonus, so this is important. It's a new card bonus that's part of a larger bonus structure. So the bonuses are going to be updated in a moment. I'm going to go over those. How the new fitness bonus works. So basically, all cards at the start of that, at the start of this, are going to have a 10% bonus applied to their game week score. That's huge. That is actually quite a lot. Now, the fitness bonuses are going to range between 0 and 10%, because as you use a card in a game week, their fitness bonus is going to decrease. Now, what it decreases by, it doesn't actually say. It doesn't actually detail quite how that's going to work as of yet. It does say there's going to be another announcement for that. So, as you can see here, that's exactly what it says. So if they're including the game week and they start or they sub in for their team, so basically if it's a DMP, it doesn't look like it's going to be affected by the fitness bonus because they've not played, which is quite nice. Fitness bonuses increase for any player card that are not used during the game week. So that's kind of like your recovery. If you're playing Football Manager, for example, and you're recovering your players, if you've got midweek games and weekend games, the fitness does decrease over time. So you have to manage your rotation of your team. So it's quite interesting to see that coming into here. Now, that might impact what your strategy is. I was potentially looking at maybe having a few cards spare that I was going to sell because I was only going to run with 3 teams. Now I might have to keep those to rotate in and out of my team. Now I do that quite a lot anyway because I like to play the matchups, who's got the favourable games and things like that. So there's that there. So when the physio centre comes into this is where the physio centre comes into play. Managers can send the players who need a rest to the physio to restore the fitness more quickly. So the way I'm looking at that's probably going to be, well, actually, I'll detail the rest of it. This is one that I don't like. Okay, so there's going to be rest packs, physio items available in the club shop and can be bought with coins. No problem at that point. Or money. I do not, and under any circumstances like that whatsoever. That is basically just saying, yeah, the guys at the top end, or if you've got a lot of money or whatever, you could simply just go and buy these packs from the store and get your players back up to 10%. Now, that creates an uneven playing field for me, which I don't like. This is pretty much the only thing out of this whole article I don't like. It just seems as though it's something that creates an unlevel playing field. The other things all keep it going and you've got to manage it. This I don't like. Rest packs can also be won for in-game achievements or rewards. Good stuff. So you'll be able to maybe get those and add them onto your players. On top of a new gameplay strategy, the fitness bonus model with rest packs benefits the long-term health and sustainability. I will explain why I think that is. It offers a new revenue stream. Obviously, it does because they're being able to obviously buy them, which I don't like. They'll follow up with key details in the coming weeks. So I think that's going to be important so we can actually see how the fitness bonus is going to work. Does it drop by 0.5% per game? Does it drop by 1% per game? Does it drop by 2? We don't know. Again, I'm going to come back to this. Is where I'm going to come back to this one. So with FIFA, for example, you used to, if you were playing with your players, their fitness would decrease per game. However, they got rid of that a couple of years ago because it was becoming irrelevant. If you're going to take inspiration from the world's biggest games, the world's biggest football game got rid of a fitness bonus a while ago. So I don't agree with this bit here. And this seems a little bit silly to say they're taking inspiration from it when FIFA got rid of this a while ago. So there's that. Now, where was I going to go back to the fitness bonus? Yeah, so the sustainability. Before I touch on the bigger part, which you're probably waiting on, is the threshold. The reason I think that this is coming into play is another one like the list or play kind of, or sell or play, whichever way it came round. But basically, obviously, if you list your cards, it takes them out of a team. If you have a game week, say you've got your players playing at the weekend, you then put them into the physio, what are we calling it? Physio centre, sorry. You put them into the physio centre during the midweek. If you then take that player off to sell them, you're not going to be able to increase their fitness. That's where it comes to. This is another way to keep people holding on to their cards, which in a roundabout way will increase, as you've seen on the market since they did the list or play, there'll be fewer cards on the market for sale at all times, which will then increase the prices in theory because they're more scarce to buy. So this is where I'm looking at that is very nice. This is where another revenue stream comes in because obviously Sorare are collecting the 5% tax, if you want to call it that, on the sales, the fees, the gas fees, whatever way you want to call it. It's a 5% tax on your sales. This is going to increase how much that would be because instead of a card maybe being £50 and them getting £2.50 or whatever it might be, this might boost the prices up to £60 and they get £3 per sale. You can see where that's coming from. So that's why I think this is more important to Sorare, in terms of, and also for the gallery owners, because it will, in theory, start to build that up. So there's multiple layers to this. This isn't just here's a fitness bonus thing. No, there's multiple layers below this. This is pretty well thought through. This is about market sustainability as well as enhanced gameplay. That's where I'm coming from with that. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I very much doubt I'm wrong on that one. So let's move on to building your strategy. So more ownership, bonuses to build, 4 bonuses to build your strategies. So there's going to be the 4 new bonuses on the cards. Now you've got your new fitness bonus, which is going to start in September, and they'll launch that as part of the club facilities. Now that'll obviously be detailed as it's going. XP update. This is good as well. You know, it says that initially when you buy a card off the market and it's sitting at 5%, for example, you buy it off the auctions, you were able to increase that pretty quickly to like say 8%. You know, within a few game weeks, you were able to rattle that up pretty quickly. Now that's kind of changing. It says here that they're changing it around to make it a bit more slowly to begin with, and then increase, as opposed to the way it is. If you've got a card that's almost max, it takes an eternity to get the levels up. So this is going to change it around a little bit. So I think this is quite good, and that'll also impact the overall scoring, which is good as well. So cards, this is one thing. Cards will no longer, if they're not in a training team, they will no longer accumulate XP. So at the moment, your cards are sitting in your gallery and that aren't as part of a training team, that aren't in a game week, they would continue to accumulate XP at a slow level, but they'd still get it. But now that doesn't happen. So they're either in a game week or they're in a training. Simple as that. The above changes allow us to make key changes to our larger vision elsewhere, e.g. facilities, and the reintroduction of card bonuses to the capped modes, which we're going to come to. We're also planning to introduce a new card XP summary that will allow you to, so it'll be a bit easier for you to see what your XP is going to be. New season bonus, they've closed the loophole here basically. So for example, if I've got a Dundee card, just one of my players from my team that have moved to China and are playing in the CSL. When the new season cards come out, because he didn't get a new card generated for him, Player X's card was at the moment keeps its 5% new season bonus, which it shouldn't really, should it? You know, once it's gone from 22, 23 to 23, 24, that card shouldn't still have a 5% bonus, but it does at the moment. Or if they're relegated and come back up, that kind of thing. So they've closed this loophole by basically the cards that are going, the way the bonuses are going to be working, it is based on the league that is issued. So if I have a Scottish Premiership card for my Dundee ones, when the new Scottish Premiership season, the first game week that those fixtures are in, the 5% bonus disappears for the old cards and it comes onto the new ones, regardless what league those players now play in. I like that. It closes a loophole and it makes perfect sense to me. Collection bonus, we all know what the collection bonuses are. They're not going to be changing those. So if you've been building your collection bonuses, well done, because it's going to have a big impact going forward. So the 4 bonuses there, you'll see new season bonus, 5%, which the new cards get all the time. And then it changes when the new season kicks in. I think they've simplified that. Perfect. No problem at all. Fitness is going to start at 10% and come down. Straightforward to be easily managed game week to game week, it says. We still don't know how it increases and decreases and things like that. We'll get that update in the coming weeks. XP, we know how that is there. You'll be able to monitor what you've got. Collection bonuses, 0 to 5%. You know what that's been there as well. So, perfect. New ETH thresholds and card bonuses in cap mode. So following the feedback, they are going to introduce all 4 of the card bonuses to the capped modes. Now, that's quite into our cap mode competition. So that's quite interesting, because that looks to me as though it's going to be in 220 as well. Threshold obviously is not. Threshold is only going to be in 240. But it's very interesting to see that they've put the bonuses even into the 220 mode. If I'm reading that right, because it said cap mode competitions. That looks to me as though it'll change to 270 as well. So, interesting. In order to offer all managers a fair and exciting experience and maintain our current balance, we will be increasing the number of points needed from 250 to 300 points. Now, on the surface, instantly you're like, Jesus, how the hell am I going to hit 300 points when I'm struggling to hit 250 because of the bonuses? And I've got a slide where I'm going to show you what that actually means. This new threshold target for ETH thresholds will not make hitting target more difficult. I will explain that in a minute as well. I've done the math on it. It's true. It doesn't make it more difficult. You've just got more layers in between to try and help you get to that level. We've considered the impact of the 4 bonuses when setting this. So it gives an example here of how it all works. A lot of percentages and blah, blah, blah. So I've got a different one where I've just basically looked at a flat one, and I'll explain where it comes from on that. The scarcity bonuses don't apply in cap modes 240. So obviously, if you've got a super rare bonus or what have you on your cards, it's not taken into consideration for 240, as it shouldn't, because that'd be silly. You get an extra 20% on every player. That would be silly. So they're going to closely monitor it. It may be increased or decreased. They're going to take about a 6 to 8 game week look at things before they make any adjustments. And I think that's sensible. You can't just react after 1 game week. You have to take a little bit of time for that. So the next bit talks about cards and the bonuses, not the bonuses, the potential rewards for the reality things. I'm going to skip those just now, guys, because I don't think that's what anybody's here for. What I'm going to go back to is my slides. And I've got an example for cap 240 here. Now, this might look like gobbledygook, but I've tried to make it simple. At the moment, if you've got your cap 240 team, in fact, at any point, cap 240, if you divide that through by 5, it's 48 points per player is what it works out as. Now, obviously, you can have a 45 goalkeeper and a 51 defender. You mix and match that how you will, but it wouldn't make any difference to this calculation here because this will show you how it works out. So I haven't put names of the players. I've just put position. I should really wrote position instead of name, but hey ho, I haven't. So I've put the last 15 for all of them being as 48 because I wanted just to be average across the board. Now I've arbitrarily decided, I've got 3 new season cards and two that don't have, they're older ones that don't have a 5% bonus on them. So I've taken that into consideration on here. Now the fitness, I think we're all probably going to be able to. I'll probably be looking to maintain at least an 8%, maybe 9%. I don't know. It depends on how it works. But if you can manage to maintain roughly an 8% one, that's what this kind of roughly averages out at, between the 7s, the 9, the 10, and the 2 8s. But this gives you an idea of how many points extra you're going to be getting on top of those. So it's if you've got a 10%, that would be a 4.8 on top. If it's a 4.3, this is assuming this the last 15. I should have said this. Because that's the average of the last 15, I'm assuming that that's the 5 scores that they've got. They've all scored 48 points. We know that's not going to be the case. Some will score 60, some will score less. But I've just taken it as an average because that is the average of what they're scoring. So add on the XP, add on your collection bonus, add on your 1 captain bonus of 20%. Now, this is what it would then work out as, roughly. So all told, the impact of having this fitness bonus, your new season bonus, your XP, your collections, and your captain means that your 240 point team will be counting for about 287 points. And I think that's kind of important to look at because if you then had all your players at 10%, it's actually 291.6 it comes out as. If you've then got all your players with new season bonuses, that's another 4.8. So then you're on 296. If you've got better XP on them, you're looking even better. If you've got good collections, you're looking even better. In theory, your team that scores a total of 240 points, you could actually have that hit in 300. It's a case of managing your XPs. Now, the XP to new season is going to be difficult because when the new season cards launches, they're going to start with 0 XP on them. You're going to have to build that up as quickly as you can. And you'll do that through either training or through the game modes. It's going to be difficult, but I think realistically looking at the way it stands just now, if you've got a team that's averaging 240 and they score 240, you're 10 points away from the threshold. Here, it looks like you're 13 away, but all of that is then impacted, that 10 points added on with all these, it's almost like identical to the same thing. This just gives you extra layers to look at to try and build towards that 300. I'm quite excited about it. I'm not being a doom or gloom merchant about it. I think this actually introduces an element that you can achieve the thresholds a little bit easier if you can manage to keep on top of the fitness and build your XP up and look to buy cards with the new season bonuses. Bear in mind, guys, the cards that are out just now will lose those XP bonuses when the new season starts, as opposed to when the new cards are issued, which is the way it's always been. So that, I guess, though, from reading their thing, it's going to be September that's going to impact. So that'll be worth keeping an eye on. So yeah, I don't think all told, the whole thing I'm positive about, apart from that one thing about being able to buy the fitness cards, basically. I don't agree with that. I think if you're doing it with the soul coins, no problem. If you're doing it with cash, you create an imbalance in the game. And that's what I thought the cap modes did pretty well at eliminating the imbalance. But it seems to have introduced it again with that. So for me, that is the only negative out of the whole thing, is that I can understand it from Sorare's point of view of revenue generation, but as I mentioned, with how I see this working with the market, and reducing, the number of cards on the market at any time and increasing their their take of that, I feel like that does quite well in that. So we'll see how much they cost. I still disagree with it. I don't think I'll be buying any, unless something drastic happens. I don't see me actually physically spending cash on a fitness card. I will just try and rotate players in and out. With that, guys, I just want to give, as I say, a big thanks to everybody who subscribed. As I mentioned at the start of the video, it costs nothing. Hit the subscribe button, it builds the channel. Ideas for upcoming videos, I'm trying to be a bit more active again as I possibly can. So if you've got any ideas, drop me a DM. You can get me on Twitter at Sorare on a Budget. As I mentioned, you could sign up at SorareOnABudget.com. That takes you straight to the Sorare website. It's basically my referral link, but rather than it being a gobbledygook one, I just bought a domain, so it forwards straight to the actual referral link. If you sign up there, you'll get your free limited card when you buy 5 from the market, from the new card auctions, I should say. And that's that. So, guys, I'm really interested to hear your feedback on both the video, my comments on it, and also what you think about it. List them underneath the video, or put them on the on Twitter, and I'm more than happy to have a discussion about those. Okay, guys, take care, and I will speak to you all again soon.